Welcome to Fantasy Victory Now, Week 16 with Paul Charchian. And DeMarco Murray goes down.
Yeah.
It was only a matter of time, right? You know, he had to get the perennial injury.
That's right.
It seems like it'd be a minor one, but might miss Sunday's game.
Waiting for championship week.
Yeah,
Get you all the way there.
Yes, and then
on
gut
Sunday,
punch
that's right. That's right. Hit you in the store when you don't even know if you're going to be able to start him or not.
Yeah.
And really, you almost hope that DeMarco Murray doesn't end up playing in this game, so you know for sure. And worst case scenario in my mind is, and I think it'll play out this way, all the way up till kickoff, the Cowboys are going to be coy on this about DeMarco Murray, and will he play? We're going to see how it responds in pregame, and then you don't know as a fantasy owner. He's going to be he's going to be very, very tricky to play.
So Joseph Randle, Lance Dunbar step in.
Yeah.
Randle seems to be the more productive one. Can you start him with confidence against the Colts?
Right now, I think you can, and it's early week while we're taping this, but I think you can, and here's why. I really question if DeMarco Murray plays, he can play with a cast on his left hand. So that means he's going to try to run with the ball in his right hand. So we automatically know he's not going to catch. So that's out altogether. Can he run block, for example, with the cast on his hand? And when you have the cast hand, you could say, well, we just run with the ball in your right hand. But now every defender's going to know the ball's in that side. You can't turn the ball away from other defenders. You're a fumbling risk. There's a ton of things that can go wrong, and they've got a qualified backup. I think DeMarco Murray's going to be really dicey, and for that reason, I think you're going to be better off playing the backups, even if DeMarco Murray does. They say he's going to play. I think there's some real question about whether or not he's going to be effective, and Joseph Randle's going to be the better of the two options. Lance Dunbar will get some action, but Dunbar's proven himself to be an inconsistent producer. Randle's been good when they've given him looks. So this is a long way of saying I think you're going to be able to start Joseph Randle on Sunday is how it's shaping up right now.
All right, a name we haven't heard in a while, C.J. Spiller. He could actually return this week. What do you expect from Spiller with the Bills down the stretch?
Yeah, I'm not optimistic. And, Spiller is likely back with the team next year. I think they're going to be reticent to want to potentially re-injure him. Plus, they've got a full-blown running back by committee that, frankly, is working pretty well right now. Fred Jackson, they got Dixon, and they got Brown, and I think at first game back especially, Spiller doesn't do anything more than what those guys have been doing. So while it's tempting to pick him up because he's a brand name on a team that's playing reasonably well, I don't think you want any part of C.J. Spiller down the stretch here.
Like you said, it's championship week.
Yeah,
but
should be for most good leagues, right?
Yeah, for most good leagues. Should you ride the guys that got you here, or should you play matchups? Of course, we're down that time of year where a lot of teams don't have anything to play for anymore.
That's right.
So you got some new guys in there.
There's a category of guy. Now we're getting philosophical now, Mike. There's a category of guy that you just don't bench, and that's fine. I mean, you're never going to bench, Peyton Manning. Even Aaron Rodgers in a tough week last week was, how do you bench him in the playoffs? It's really, really hard. But the Rodgers matchup tells you that there are scenarios where you want to do that. And maybe you don't run it all the way up to the Aaron Rodgers level, but anybody who's like a second-tier player or lower, yes, you should be playing the matchups. Do you want to be starting somebody against a great surging Bills defense or Rams defense? Probably not. And so I think, I'm always philosophically somebody who says that with the exception of elite players, you still play the matchups all the way to the bitter end. Just because a guy was good enough to help you most of the weeks get into the championship game doesn't mean he's going to help you this week, and I think you still have to be very smart about the matchups.
What about kicker and defense? Tight matchup, they could really swing it.
They can, and I think this is a temptation where fantasy owners can get lazy on kickers and defense. You just roll out the same kicker and defense that you've been playing all year. Don't do it. I mean, this is the perfect opportunity to really analyze those two positions, and we give you rankings on those at Fantasy Victory. Find the guy. You only have to worry about one game. Find the guy who's got the best matchup at kicker for this week and the best defense this week. I'll give you one example. Tennessee might end up being a really good defense on Thursday night against a Jacksonville team that just creates tons of turnovers for itself. So that might be a scenario where you'd swap to a defense that's available in almost every league, Tennessee, and is a defense that you may be able to play. So that's just one example. Upgrade both positions. Don't get lazy and just go with the guys that got you there in kicker and defense.
Getting a lot of love on Twitter for a lot of people who've been following at Fantasy Victory, at Paul Charchian, and following us on fantasyvictory.com all year, playing for a championship this week. So a thank you to Paul Charchian and a thank you for following us, and I guess you're welcome.